All right, you're up, son.
Okay. Assuming you're recording already, right?
Totally. You know I am. I'm trying to get as much dirt on you as possible. Not hard to do, by the way.
No, really easy, as a matter of fact. All right. Let me not look like I'm sleeping. Hey, good morning, Mr. Abel.
JJ, what's going on today, dude? I am going with the Colorado State logo today.
I like it.
Just because, man, love that place. Absolutely love that place. Here in the desert, though, California desert, Palm Springs area, Mission Hills Country Club, getting ready for a 1 o'clock workout with our buddy Owen today. It's going to be a great day in the grass. So we're just going to go out, and the trash talking is so much fun.
It is.
So much fun.
I've spent some time on the court with Owen, and he is a gas to be on the court with. And you give Owen my best.
I will. And there's ways to tee him up, to have him just, God dang it. So, great guy, a lot of fun, and so it should be good. We got good weather here today. I mean, here it is January, what's today, the 11th? 12th? I don't know. 10th. But
somewhere in there.
It'll be mid-70s up here today, or out here today, man. So, all good. I'm looking forward to it. What's on your mind?
Right on. Well, okay, so I got a question for you. Think you can handle it?
Probably not.
Let's find out.
I mean, I've just put up a short lob, and you're coming in to knock off the overhead, so I'm probably turning my back.
I like it.
Okay.
All right. So today is a little deviation in our question, because we've been boots on the ground stories and that kind of thing, and so this is a question for you about you and your career. And the question is, what advice would you give, say, new pros that are entering into the teaching market now, into the teaching space, where they're going to be at a club, or
don't do it,
or they're going to be at the local public facility, and they're going to be teaching. They're going to be on the court anywhere from 15 to 40 hours plus a week, and yes, that happens. And a lot of great pros do that, and they're entering. And so, what kind of advice would you give that teaching pro, as well as maybe let's include a teaching pro who's been at it for 10, 15, 20 plus years, and they're feeling a little flat in their execution, like they've lost that love and feeling a little bit, and so how would you what's your?
My bride just walked through. Hey, babe. We're in studio right now. Okay, go ahead. Sorry, Jeff.
So the question is, what kind of advice would you give those players that helps that
or those teaching pros?
Those teaching pros to help them kind of stay in it, it's because it's got to be fresh for us too, Yeah.
So great question. I'm glad you asked this, because, for the new guy or the new gal who's coming into the industry, first of all, I was kidding when I said don't do it. It is a fantastic place to be. It's a fantastic way to help others really enjoy a great hobby, and And the chances of you, especially with the junior development program, ever developing someone who's going to make money in the tour are zero.
Right.
If you're super lucky and get that one player that goes out there, good for you, man. But I would say, first of all, to that new teaching pro is, this isn't about you. This job is not about you. Do not bring your ego to this industry and feel that because you played either on the tour, or you played at D1 somewhere or somewhere else, or you were a top-ranked junior, that people should be going, oh my God, I'm so lucky to be in your presence. No, man, you gotta absolutely flip and reframe that picture. That really you're in an industry where you've got to have a personality. that is give,
Give,
and
give.
some more, and make that member or the public facility, when that player walks in, make them feel like, man, this is all about you today. I am so happy you're here today. What can I do to serve you?
Right.
And if you take on that personality and you actually serve, it's a service industry. It's a hospitality industry.
Yes, absolutely.
Right? And if you take that on, that you will have the greatest career you could possibly have, and you will never get to that guy that you described who's burnt out. Because, and Bubba's over there with a squeeze toy. Can you hear that in the background? Anyway, so where was I? Yeah, so that would be my first thing that I would advise guys to do. And I mean, I've even seen it with older teaching pros or older tennis directors who just never, for whatever reason, they never embrace that kind of personality. And it's rough. It's really rough. And so anyway, that'd be my first piece of advice. What I would do if I was to go back and start teaching again in terms of my teaching style is I would do a whole lot less of what I used to do. And what I used to do is think that to earn the fee that I was charging this person for the next 60 minutes, I had to go completely hoarse.
Right.
I had to just talk and talk and talk and just get it out there and just give them everything. It's like a fire hose of information where
sensory overload.
The person just going, oh, God, man, is this what I signed up for? Is you telling me everything that's ever been taught in the entire world?
Right.
And instead, I would embrace kind of the old school Tim Galway inner game of tennis in terms of having the student try to feel what a model, and whether you, the young pro, and by the way, if you're going to be teaching tennis to the rest of us, not to a tour guy, number one, you got to be able to learn how to feed a ball with a continental grip. You can't drop and go full Western and snap off a topper where Janie Jones, who's a 45-year-old mom of three, is watching this thing and the eyeballs are this big and here comes this big bouncer.
Yeah,
no, man, you got
up around the eyeballs. Yeah,
that's right.
Thank you.
You got to be able to learn how to feed with the continental because you just have to. But the other thing you got to be able to do is you got to be able to demonstrate a realistic forehand, backhand, service motion, volley, all the strokes that are realistic. This is not a demo of you being able to show off how you got to the round of 16 in the NCAA's Division II with this roller. This is not the time when you show what you used to do. So you would ask the student with very few words just to simply observe and watch how you demonstrate. And if you can't demonstrate it yet, then pull out your iPad. You've got one. Pull out your iPad and show them a video of that forehand that you want this person to look at and observe and feel. And just simply feel it without going through all of. I mean, look, we know that new pro guy, gal, all the technique and how it's done, but trying to teach technique by the 13 degrees to the right and the lag and this and that, they're never going to get it. So you teach them through I don't know what the word is, observational immersion.
Well, it's implicit. Explicit is the mechanics, right? Teaching the raw mechanics of take your racket back, drop the racket head, and all those different explanations. And again, we're not saying that there aren't the time to use some of those explanations to do it, but what you're talking about, Brent, is the implicit instruction, which is creating moves, feeding a ball to a certain area, and allowing the student to discover what it feels like to, quote, let's say, brush up on the ball, to actually impart topspin on a ball that isn't solely mechanically created, but
Right.
actually there's involvement with the body, but it's involved because of the type of drill or exercise you're having them do, that actually creates that response, a little bit more naturally.
Yeah, and that's where I would change my on-court teaching, which would be, I want you to watch me hit this thing, and then I'm going to feed you some balls, and just see if you can imitate in your own mind what you think I looked like and what it might have felt like. And if it's not right the first time, then I'll go back and I'll demonstrate some more. And I might say something like, I want you to feel your feet here just a little bit. Just feel your feet a little bit. And because it could be they're crowding the ball or they're too far away. Well, rather than saying, don't crowd, get further away, whatever, you've got to have this one footwork pattern. It's got to be a jab step. It's got to be, what? It's got to be this or that. Right. Great. We know that you know all the lingo, but stop teaching that way and instead go to some kind of reference that will get them to simply create the more space you want so they can feel the swing. And it could be just this time, just be more aware of your feet.
Right.
And through my experience in the last few years of my own game and helping some other players, what I found is that if they'll imitate me, or if I show them a video of something super simple. By the way, Roger Federer's forehand is not super simple. So it looks clean.
No.
The guy is like ridiculously balanced, but it's not super simple. Find a model that if you can't demonstrate that is super simple. And my bet is with the first 30 minutes of doing this, that you're going to get this student to be able to, if you're working on a forehand, with a very controlled underhand ball feed, be able to come pretty close. Now, obviously it's not as much power as maybe you could produce.
Right.
But the whole feeling is pretty darn close. And so what I would do then is I would pull out the phone. You've got a phone. You've got your iPad there, whatever. And I would shoot a short little video of your student doing this thing where they're imitating it without any verbal instruction of you during this video, just feeding balls. And when they hit that one that's really pretty doggone close, or they hit it and they go, wow.
Wow.
Well, then that would be your feedback that they felt it. And then you got to go back, and this is simple to do. But again, we're in a service industry, right? We're in an industry to help them enjoy the game more. And one way that they're going to do that is by seeing themselves as the model, as being able to. And there was the old cyber vision thing back in the 70s where they took Stan Smith and Chrissy and Chrissy Everett, and they showed Stan Smith a repeat just over and over and over again of a forehand. Great. But I'm watching this thing going, that guy just won Wimbledon last year.
Right.
I don't think I can do that. No matter how simple it looked, I don't think I can do that.
Right.
And so the difference being is that we're taking the cyber vision science technique in terms of visualizing it or immersing yourself in it, but now we're using the student as the model.
As the model, right.
And so when they see themselves do the, wow, that one forehand, now what you've done is you've gotten into them the feeling of what it's like. I would ask them to go home. You go ahead and use your little software editing stuff. If you can't do that, come on, learn how to do it. It's dead simple. You could take a student, and by the way, rather than charging them your $80 an hour for feeding them balls and yakking at them, take the video, go out in the court with them for an hour and say, part of this fee that I'm charging you is going to be an off-court little video post-production I'm going to do for you, short little 2-minute video where I'm going to take that wow forehand you had and I'm going to simply replicate it. It's a little 3-second clip, boom, boom, boom in real time, then do a couple slow-mos, then do some real time. You're going to save it, and you're just going to give them that video. And now you can charge at least $20 more for that little thing that you did off the court, because the value that you're giving them is so much greater. Yeah. And then bend your knees
Well,
20
then the
blocks,
lost
please.
the lost words that are just now out there in in the cosmos that are
Right.
just floating around, right? I'm going to circle back here on the we talked about you mentioned when you're explaining something, and explanations are important. We have to have them. I think sometimes though we use pro to pro to pro to pro. We use the same terminology, but the definition is different. I.e., we'll just use this one. Hit the ball in front. This term has been used for ever. Is that a good way
I
to
think
put
it's
that,
been
Brent?
used even before the game was invented. Yes.
Before ever was ever invented,
Yes.
right? And so, what I have found in my experience is that sometimes you have to actually move away from the term because the student has a definition that they've been using for 20 years. And the challenge to untie that knot, what that definition is to them, is unbelievably difficult to get them to redefine not only mentally but physically what that means. And so what I found that's very helpful is to move away from that term and find a new term that defines the action that you want them to do and move them out of that. I mean, I don't think I've used the term take your racket back in 30 years, 25 years at least in my teaching. I mean, occasionally it might just pop out, but it might be in some loose kind of reference. But if I'm teaching, somebody how to prepare for a forehand, you'll never hear me use that term.
Well,
for
Jeff,
a whole host of reasons. But anyway,
let me jump in just real quick. So the example you used was, you want to make contact out in front. So for you, out in front might be, well, let me back up. What feels right for you when you make contact could be in a different place than it is for me.
Correct.
And it could be in a different place than it is for the next player.
Right.
So to me, what I would do is, I used to say, hey, you got to hit the ball out in front. Well, I mean, I'd heard that with my volley. You got to play the volley out in front, and yet I sort of took liberties with that instruction, and I got way out in front.
Right.
And the ball just got dead. Even I put it right in the center of the sweet spot. Nothing. I had, it was flat. It was dead. It was a sitter. I'm going, well, man, I'm out in front. And then, of course, when I got to Mr. Stowe, he looked at my way out in front volley and just went, okay, all right, I got some work to do here. And the only work he had to do, he didn't say anything other than he had a bar stool, right? He had that stool that had the rungs around the bottom where you could set your feet on them.
Right.
So he pulled it out, and I sat in the stool, and he said, you got to get your feet off the court, and we're going to work on what is your unique point of contact. I said, okay, that's fine. So the first ball, and he underhand fed it to me. The first ball, I'm thinking, out in front. I reach in front, and I fall off the stool. I fell forward off the stool. And he kind of looked at me and went, and I kind of went, okay. Same thing again. He underhand feeds it to me. I'm still out in front. I fall off the stool. And he's not saying anything.
Right.
And I'm kind of going, maybe I'm just supposed to be sitting on the stool the whole time.
Right.
So he feeds me the next ball, and I hit it staying on the stool. And I hit, for the first time, this volley that skid. And he kind of looked at me and went, so it's really, the point of contact is unique to everybody. Right. And to force someone to say, you've got to do this or you got to do that, may not be that place, and I'm referencing contact point here, may not be the place that uniquely for you gives you the feeling that you want to have. Right.
So as the pro, I mean, you have to be a great observer, not just of the technicality of what they might not be doing right or what they are doing right, but the person, short, tall, long arms, kind of shorter arms. I mean, all those, where the joints are, all those things take into account what that forehand, we'll just use that, what that forehand might ultimately end up looking like. So it's really important, I think, for pros to really become students of the body composition as well, and understanding certain body types move certain ways, and there's challenges for somebody who's a little bit taller, and somebody who's a little bit shorter has advantages in some area but disadvantages in other areas. And I think it's important for the teaching pro to really understand that the problem they're solving may not be technique. It may be a body issue, meaning do they have a slight shoulder impingement? Did they just don't quite, that this guy right here in front of me, he really is not that loose in the hips. So the turn and prep for that forehand, as much as I'm telling him, no, you got to loosen up the hips, is never going to happen.
Right.
So I need to be, as the pro, adaptable to what I think the final outcome of this forehand might look like. As much as I'd like him to do X, Y, or Z, is that even possible in the grand scheme, right?
Yeah, well, I think it gets back to uniquely what feels best for this student in terms of how they've just tried to copy you, how they've tried to mimic you. One of the things that I find is that if everything's right, like it looks like, they're on balance, and technique-wise, boy, this thing looks cleaner than a whistle. They're actually doing what I've asked them, or they're actually modeling what I've shown them. But either they're the result of this forehand, flying deep in the net, going wide right, going wide left. It's not going to court. What I found is that, look, everything to me looks great. Let's just try relaxing your fingers a little more. And so my focus is just, I want you to feel what that might feel like. And I might even take the racket and say to him, I want you to squeeze real tight right now. What's that feel like? And now I want you to go super loose. What's so flippy floppy that I could just pull the racket away from you? All right. Now let's go and give me kind of a relaxed finger, but I can't pull the racket away. Next ball I'm going to feed you. Can you reproduce that feeling? And now all of a sudden, a lot of stuff that might have been going wrong, I hate to use that word, but a lot of the stuff that was wrong before, all of a sudden kind of gets cleared up because they're getting more into the feeling of the swing. And now they could go, well, that felt a little flippy floppy, a little bit too loose. So that felt a little bit tight. One of the things that you talk about a lot, and I actually put an email out to my web tennis list today. I did give you full credit for it, Jeff, was the term monitor and adjust as opposed to judging what just happened. So this is another thing I would ask, the new teaching pros to do is to get rid of the words that was right, that was wrong, that was good, that was bad, as opposed to helping your students because, look, you can't be on the court with this guy or this gal every time they go out and play. One of the skills you need to teach them is to how to stop judging and how to monitor and adjust. Jeff Jacklich. And so, for example, if I'm teaching or if I'm showing them or trying to help them with a feeling of that grip pressure, what really feels the best for you? For me, what I've learned now is that if I miss one, if I chunk a ball, it's kind of the first thing I go to, do I need to monitor grip pressure? And usually the answer is, let's next time be a little bit more relaxed here. And that's
Lighten
a feeling.
Just lighten up a little bit, Brenny.
Come on, man. Is it really this? Can I be this serious with it? Is the world gonna? No. So I guess those would kind of be the things. To answer your question, to kind of recap it would be to make sure you got that right kind of personality. Just serve people in this industry. Don't make it about you. They're going to find out what a stud or studette you were at some point, but that's not how you're going to become a great teaching pro or a great person in this industry. And then, talk less on the teaching court, talk less, get your students to feel what you want them to model you've got to be able to demonstrate it. So you got to be able to learn how to feed a ball that doesn't challenge them. And if that means all you can do is underhand feed for a while, so be it.
Yep.
And just try to make sure that you're not, maybe I already said this, but you're getting rid of those words, which are all based on judging as opposed to monitoring, being more of an observer and adjusting. So
well, that's good, Brenny. That's some great stuff there. And I think for our students out there, our hunters, this is great insight though for them to know, like if they're looking for a new coach, a new pro to help them in this journey. Maybe they need to look at who they're currently, if they're not taking from anybody, how to you may have to take lessons from 2 or 3 different pros in your area to find the right fit, the person that speaks a language that you connect with, their personality, and you think you can get there. And maybe it's a surprise to you that this guy, when I watched him teach, he seemed a little hardcore, but being on the court with him, boy, it's exactly what I needed, and I really love the exchange we have. So from the student standpoint, I think this is really critical information that they understand that one pro doesn't fit all. I'm not for everybody for sure. You're not for everybody for sure, but so the student needs some insight too as to, did they feel like, they've just been, beaten over the head with the Encyclopedia Britannica of tennis information, and they can't even remember what the lesson was like.
Brent Abel 1.0?
Yeah, Brent Abel 1.0, Jeff Jacklich 1.0, at age 24, showing them everything.
Right.
So it does. It takes time and experience, but I think this is good information for the players to, when they're searching for a new coach as well, to help them out. Cool. You got to look a little bit deeper, and for somebody that looks like they can take you on a different parts of the journey, not just mechanical.
Excellent. Good. All right. Well, good. Thank you for the props on the good answer, but great question. So, all right. Well, at this point, Jeff, I think we're good to go. I'm going to get out there and work the ball around a little bit today with O.
Right.
And
are you on? Let's see. All right. Let me. You have so many choices there. Are you on hard court today, or clay court, or grass court?
We're on grass court 7.
Grass court number 7.
Yes.
And I know it's a challenge because all 3 of those surfaces are within 100 yards of your front door. So we're all crying a tear for you today, Brenny.
Well, look, hey, okay, that's fine, and that's cool. But you got to understand, I got some stress. I never have an excuse to be late.
That's right with Owen. That's right.
Well, with anybody, right? They go, man, dude, you're 5 minutes late. What was the traffic kind of rough getting over here today?
Right.
I had to walk my way around all the older generation golf carters who were.
Somebody was walking their poodle, and the poodle looked really mean, and I had to take a different path.
So that's why I'm late. Anyway.
All right.
So what's the next thing? We first of all, we got a cool thing for you guys. If this is the first time with us, or if you haven't already done so, we'd love to get you onto our email list for a couple of reasons. Number one, we want to stay in touch with you and let you know what we're doing from day to day. But number two, if you get on there, we're going to give you a free thing. It's a bribe almost. Give us your first name and email. We're going to bribe you. We got a really cool video that Jeff and I did recently based on confidence. How do you get it as a tennis player? How do you build it? And then once you've got it, how do you know? How do you really know that you're there? And it's more than just opening up the magic key to the zone. And so we've got a very cool video that we put together. It is free, but it is private. The only way you can get it is if you get on our email list. We promise not to spam you. The link for that is right down below. If you're watching the video, if you're on iTunes, you can go to goldballhunting.com. But there's a couple of other things that we'd like them to do before that, Jeff, and that is...
Like us, share us, subscribe to us. And if you have something you want to say, you want to ask us something, let us know in the comments below.
Excellent. Outstanding. Guys, as always, get out there and make it an incredible day. And if you're a new pro in the industry, help someone else, not about you, help someone else have an amazing day. And we shall do this again tomorrow, Jeff.
Can't wait.
I bet.